Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Pillars to Success with Dr. Paul White. How are you doing today, Dr. White?
I'm great.
So, today we want to focus on one of the most important aspects of one's growth, at least some might say, and that is going to be hard work. It is something that nobody can avoid on their journey to reaching what they want to become in life. So, going over that, first and foremost, what is hard work to you?
So hard work to me is something that is really summed up with two words: sustained effort. So I think that anytime that we think of work or putting in, the grind, it is something that requires effort on our part for a sustained period of time. So I think that's probably the best way to sum it up, at least for me.
When it comes to hard work, what is the overall idea of it? What does hard work encompass overall?
Well, we've talked about motivation, we've talked about discipline, but those mean nothing unless you have work ethic, unless you're willing to put the effort in, that sustained effort in. Motivation, discipline, dreaming about success, having goals, those don't mean anything unless you're willing to put in the work. And so that's really what it is. Hard work basically is something that can't be substituted. There's no way to game it or move around it. If you have certain goals and objectives in your life that you wish to accomplish, it's going to require that hard work. It's going to require that sustained effort.
In terms of hard work, kind of as you just mentioned, what kind of elements are involved within hard work itself?
Well, I think, the ability to get up and whatever the task is at hand, to accomplish that task at hand. And so many times, we all have our own ideas of what hard work is. I think at the end of the day, you can look at whatever task that is, that needs to be done, that's required to be fulfilled in some way or another, and the completion of that task or the completion of a series of tasks kind of sums that up. So I think that whether we're looking at, our work day or things that need to be done around the house, we can be essentially those things can be broken down to a task or a series of tasks that we need to accomplish. I think more importantly, if we have a big goal or an objective that we wish to accomplish, this is something that is going to require an extended period of time perhaps. And so again, there may be many series of tasks or even a series of tasks that are done daily or weekly with some sort of cadence that requires our attention. So I think that's probably the best way to sum it up.
Would you say within society there is a problem with work ethic and hard work?
There is a growing problem, yes. I believe that there are many individuals that feel that maybe working a job, certain types of jobs are beneath them, or maybe they don't want to be part of the workforce in some way. I feel that it is absolutely necessary for us to have true peace and harmony and happiness in our lives, to be busy with something, to have a task that needs to be accomplished, that we can accomplish. If you look at individuals that are working, and it may not even be a job they necessarily love to have, but they're working, and it gives them confidence, it gives them a sense of purpose. And so I think if you look at the world today, many individuals have opted out of the workforce. I believe this correlates with probably some of the anxiety that we're having collectively as a society, some of the depression that we have collectively as a society. I think when people are busily engaged with something, with tasks that need to be accomplished, goals, and objectives, I feel that they're happier, they have a deeper sense of purpose, and generally speaking, they're keeping their minds and bodies active and productive.
What do you think scares people when it comes to hard work? Is it something that's to do with self-confidence? Is there any kind of doubt involved? Or do you think it's just a lot for some people to will themselves to do?
It's uncomfortable. I think that a lot of people have been brought up in circumstances where they haven't had to face discomfort, or they haven't had to face sustained effort, in one way or the other. So I think part of it is a modeling problem. There are children out there that it hasn't been properly modeled for. I feel that at the end of the day, anybody can learn, though, how to become productive and how to work hard, even if it hasn't been modeled for them. And so I think that, like most things in life, if you practice it, if you start out small and you work your way into it, you eventually can become, very adept and, very effective. So I think that, even if you start out maybe not having that model for you, maybe not liking the discomfort of putting in that effort, daily effort in, that it can be learned, and we as humans are great at adapting with things that we pursue.
Now, you mentioned pursuing and how we obviously need hard work to pursue things. What kind of obstacles do you think people face specifically within that route to finding that hard work within themselves?
I think the obstacles we typically face are in our own minds. I think that there is also a preconceived idea out there, especially with people that are just entering the workforce, that they shouldn't have to work an entry-level position, that they deserve to make more money and have maybe a position that has more prestige. It doesn't work that way. We all typically have to start out at square one and progressively work our way up. And as we work, we get greater skills. We learn different things about the job, and maybe it's a job that we don't ultimately want to work. And so, one of the great things about living in this country is if you work in a position or an industry that you don't like, you don't have to stay there. You can go work for somebody else. You can go work in another industry. You can learn new skills that allow you to work in a completely different type of job or environment. And so I think that's one of the great things is nobody is stuck where they're at. And so even if an individual may start out with a job they don't particularly love or like, in time, with hard work and with that sustained effort, they can many times end up in something completely different that they actually enjoy and maybe aligns better with their long-term objectives.
Now, within hard work, obviously you can get a lot of benefit out of having hard work, but do you think hard work is truly something that can fix all of someone's problems, or do you think it's just something that can help temporarily with one's circumstances?
It's not going to fix all of your problems. I don't think there's anything out there that is going to fix all of an individual's problems. I will say that it is highly effective at fixing many problems, or many issues. The first and foremost, having a job, being able to support yourself and to provide for yourself and for your family is huge. That takes care of a very large issue that looms over all of us, being able to provide for ourselves.
Would you say that hard work is something that can fix all of someone's problems, or do you think it can just help with temporary circumstances?
It's not going to fix all your problems. I don't believe there's any one thing that's going to fix all of a person's or individual's problems. I do feel that it can go a long way in fixing a lot of problems. So, one of the first problems that a lot of people have is, supporting themselves and their family, making, money to pay for food and for shelter. So I think that, having that, of course, is a major problem. Be able to solve that is huge. So that there's that. I do feel that we're not meant to sit around and be idle. Even if you were to go back to the earliest hunter-gatherers, these are individuals that had purpose within their respective tribes. So whether you were the hunter portion of that group or you were the gatherer portion, you provided something to your little community. So it gave you a sense of purpose, it gave you a sense of pride, and you had a sense of community. So I feel that when you have those, when you have those elements basically that come together, you have an individual that it's at more peace, they have more happiness. And so I think that all in all, having a job, having a career is exponentially beneficial to a person, and in many, many areas of their life can make things better and to help them along. So,
Do you think it's possible for someone to have a good life without having hard work?
I do not. I believe that, again, if we are being perfectly honest with ourselves, sitting around not doing anything, not having a sense of purpose, not being involved with our communities, these things make us feel more isolated. These things make us feel more sad. We have less peace. We probably have greater anxiety. We're not wired to just sit around and not do anything. Our minds get bored. Our bodies get restless. We need to be busily engaged doing something productive, something worthwhile, something, hopefully it's bigger than ourselves, that also contributes to the community. Again, I feel that when we have that, when we're involved in that way, when we're engaged in that way with others in that pursuit of hard work, we're the best. We're not, I wouldn't say necessarily the best version, but we're definitely a better version of ourselves.
When you say hard work as well, do you believe that it's something that we can kind of have naturally, or is it something that we have to build?
I have known people that are extreme hard workers, and I will say that many of them developed it over time. They didn't just come right out of the chute, working really hard. Not to say there aren't people that do. There are people that are just naturally, inclined to be, hard workers. But I honestly do believe, even if you're not, even if it hasn't been modeled for you, you can learn to become a hard worker. And the more that you learn this, concept, the more that you put the effort and the time into working hard, the better that your life is going to be, the better you're going to feel about yourself. And so I feel that there's definitely short-term benefits in learning, how to work hard. And of course, there's long-term ones as well. But like most things in life, you start out, if it's not been modeled for you, you start out small. You set small goals, if it's your first job and you've never worked before, maybe work that job part-time, if you have that ability to do that, and then slowly you take on more hours, slowly you take on more responsibility. But what's going to happen over time, the more that you practice it, the more that you put that sustained effort forward, the better that you're going to get at it.
Do you say that hard work is something you have to consistently focus on? Is it something that comes and goes, or is it something that once you have it, it's there?
I think it's something you always kind of have to work at. I think that, like anything, if we don't work something, if we don't exercise something, we kind of lose it, a bit. So use it or lose it, I think, is kind of the terminology here. So I think that, I've even known, people that are in their 80s, that are still going out and working very, very hard. Not because they necessarily have to, but because they enjoy it, and they've really made it a habit. They've formulated a lifelong habit through the sustained effort of many, many years. So at least that's just my opinion on it. So I think that again, something that we practice, something that we utilize, is something that we're more likely going to keep utilizing, and it's going to have that utility for us.
And as always, we like to finish up with a final segment here where we always like to go ahead and ask you, if you were talking to somebody who was trying to get their life on track, trying to change their mindset, get into a good headspace to move forward in a positive direction with their life, what would you tell them, and how would they start on that path to creating hard work ethic?
I would exhort them to find something that they can tolerate. They may not necessarily love it in the beginning. They may not never love it, but there needs to be a starting point. Every great journey starts with that first step. So, go out and find a job that you feel that you can at least tolerate. Try to do that job well. Try to take pride in that job. And understand that even if it hadn't been modeled, if hard work hasn't been modeled for you, that it is something that you can absolutely learn, but you have to stick with it. You have to be willing to be patient and put that sustained effort in. And if you put that sustained effort in long enough, you're going to develop some, lifelong habits, some very effective lifelong habits. And anyone that I've ever met that has a strong work ethic, that knows how to go out and work hard, is an individual that generally feels good about themselves. They're an individual that has that sense of purpose. They feel connected to their community. They feel connected with their coworkers. And so, that would be my my advice is, go out, take part, in the community, take part in working and finding something that again that you can at least tolerate, and then again, know that you're not stuck there, that you can develop skills, that you can find other jobs or industries down the road and expand yourself, and maybe you end up doing something you really love and something you really enjoy. So
Thank you so much for your time, Dr. White. And as always, if you have not, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy seeing content like this, and we will see you guys in the next one.
my pleasure.